they're saying that Joe Rogan is the person who needs Kamala on his podcast as opposed to Kamala needing to do his podcast in order to reach a larger audience. They're making these statements saying things like, she's the vice president of the United States and she's running for president. You should be traveling to her, and making all of these exceptions, even though he didn't make any exceptions for Trump. And this just goes to show what the MO of the Harris campaign has been the entire time. When media doesn't give us special treatment, we are being persecuted in some way. And I'll just be honest, it comes off as very finger-wagging, shrill, and bossy. It's not a good look.
I just want to show the current chartable rankings for Joe Rogan. We did this yesterday, but Ryan, would you like to read the current rankings for Joe Rogan in numerical order?
Yeah, so he's number 97, number 1, 455, number 1.
For those that are listening,
69.
It's literally just 1.
Honestly, I think
Joe Rogan is number 1 across the board and consistently is.
I think Kamala.
You make a good point though. If she's going to fly to Shannon Sharp, you can fly to Rogan.
Come on.
What are we talking
She's
about?
the candidate for people that can't see behind the curtain, that don't understand what a deep state is. She's the candidate, and Rogan is the guy that pulls the curtain back.
Yep.
And she knows that. Her advisors are telling her that. They're like, you're going to be laid bare if you go
I'm just imagining her, she's pulling the levers, and there's the giant floating Kamala head being like, what are you doing? Don't look back here. And Joe is the guy who's going to...
Yeah. Within 20 minutes.
I mean, look, if she did a 3-hour-long sit-down interview with anyone, especially Joe Rogan, I think it would be hilarious, and it would be very bad for her campaign. It's obvious why they're not doing this. I mean, you asked earlier, should she have done this? From her perspective and her campaign's perspective, absolutely not. But I would have loved to see it. I would have thought it would have been hilarious.
Yes.
Who do you think's going to win?
It seems like you could never know, but it seems like right now the energy. It seems Trump is probably a little ahead.
You live in New York?
Yeah.
And you're walking around New York?
Yeah.
And do you go to bodegas and buy sandwiches?
Yeah.
What's the sense you get from just regular people everywhere when you walk around? Like, are there Trump flags in New York or not?
No, not downtown New York. Not
Philly
a lot of Trump flags.
Philly downtown has Trump flags.
But you can say it's far more acceptable for people to be Trump guys right now. You can see Trump flags. Like, you would never see that without it get ripped down. I mean, I would say, but then again, going into the 2016 election last time, it wasn't as crazy until after he won, right? So, I think a lot of times that gets a little murky. But if you remember, before the election, yes, it was kind of more like it is right now. Then when he won, it went full psycho. I think after the rally where you got a taste of what 2016 looks like, me and Danny used to have a joke where we go, if the Democrats were smart, they'd have a video of Robert De Niro flipping out and all your favorite artists flipping out, and they go, "Is this what you want again? You ready? You want that again? Every one of your favorite movie stars throwing a hissy fit?"
I need you to promise me something.
What are we looking at?
I need you to promise me that you are going to have, I don't know, a webcam or something pointed out your window. I know you're not going to be in New York, but make sure Danny's phone is charged.
Yeah.
On November 6th, we got to get the footage, you know what I mean? Of the people dropping to their knees and screaming no at the sky and pounding on the ground. I would be very sad if Trump wins and we don't get that footage.
It does. It feels like that's going to happen. I mean, do you think there's? What do you think happens if he loses? You think that?
I don't know, man.
That's what I mean. People are hyped up right now.
Well, I mean, look, it's particularly scary considering that all of the odds right now, national popular polling aggregate favoring Trump, direction of the country favoring a challenger party.
Honestly, just a normal vibe check. It feels like
normal vibe check. Walking around, that's what I'm saying. Walking on the street. If Trump loses right now with this kind of energy level, people are gonna lose their minds.
I saw a disturbing article from the Mail Online. ABC mistakenly airs election results.
We'll get to that one for sure.
That we're gonna pull this article. It's freakish.
If you look at in comedy and music and everything, a lot of times there'll be an artist or something that the industry's really trying to make happen, right? And Megan Thee Stallion is a good example where you go, and then after all said and done, you go, she's still big, but it didn't really sell the way. There's a lot of comedians like that where you go, she feels a little like that, where they go, she got jammed down your throat. It's it works, but it doesn't, you can't, it's hard to fake the real actual, where for whatever reason, people just gravitated towards loving this person.
Let me look at this song real quick. I'm going to pull up a song, give you an example of this. Katy Perry, Dark Horse featuring Juicy J. Which of those two people is more famous? No question.
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
They put Juicy J in there because they're trying to launch a new artist.
They're trying to make him happen.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Juicy J does fairly well, but he's not Katy Perry.
Too tapped into what Juicy J's up to.
First I've heard of Juicy.
You've never heard of him before?
Isn't Juicy J from 3 6 Mafia?
I'm pretty sure he's like well known. He's just not Katy Perry, right? So they try and they consistently would try to launch new artists off of the back of a popular big song with a big artist.
And every now and then it sticks, you know?
Right.
Like Puff
Sometimes
Daddy.
Yeah, you'll get someone big, and then Diddy goes on to have accusations about
weighing women before they get into his parties.
I hear there's scales.
That's the new thing is that
Is that real?
Well, the man didn't have all bad ideas. So he puts it, this is what they said. He put a scale outside the party and the, prostitutes, I guess, like, or like OnlyFans hosts. He would have them come in and they'd have to step on the scale. And if they were over 140, he would go sit.
I wonder if it was attached to an app. Like an app that he had on his phone.
Yeah,
keeping tabs.
Anyway, what were we talking
it was-
about? Elections?
Yeah.
Oh, Kamala
Talking
Harris.
about launching
Right, so
people.
Joe Biden is like, if they took, I don't know, In Excess or something, like, or Guns N' Roses, if they were big, and then you attach some lesser-known artist that no one ever wanted to hear, no one ever bought products for, and then they said, this is the new lead singer.
And they were
of the
pretty
band.
good at it before the internet, just being like, you don't even notice before you know it. You're like, that guy's huge. You're like, well, wait, is he? Or they're just telling me he's huge.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
exactly
We're
what it
better at
feels
it
like.
before, but I feel like it's harder
She
to
got
pull
less
off
than
right
1% of the popular vote in 2020.
she was
had
like
nothing.
the least successful candidate who ran in the Democratic primary.
Yeah, whereas like
had
him or love him,
zero-
obviously Trump's, has a love-hate thing where people connect with him.
She got 0 delegates, and she had to quit before she went in. Before she did the California vote, because if she got no delegates out of California, her entire political career would be over. If you can't win your own state, if you're running for president and you can't win your own state, and when it comes to just the primaries, you're over. You will not get another shot. No one's going to give you any money. The donors will completely and totally blackball you. So she had to drop out in order to not make that have that bad mark on her record. If she hadn't, she would never been selected
It
as
was
the vice
basically
president.
the Biden administration featuring Kamala Harris. Like,
Right.
So that's what it
Biden
feels
Harris.
like. That's what the vibe feels
And
like.
I want to clarify this too. Like Juicy J's a known guy. If you know, like you're right, 3 6 Mafia's been around for a long time. They attach him to Katy Perry, a mega pop star, because they want to raise his profile. He never reaches that level of Katy Perry, but they're trying to build brands, marketing, it's advertising. This is what they tried doing with Kamala Harris, thinking they could just attach this politician who's been in office in various. They thought, I guess it's like you're saying with the internet. They thought we could just take a Democrat, attach him to a party, and then people will get behind it.
And they basically were like, let's just use her.
like an
We'll get a
X
bunch
factor.
of black people and women to vote for Biden. That's all they didn't even talk about her during the Biden administration. Like, he never acknowledged her. He never talked about her. They had her under the rug. They used her to get votes. And now they're trying to force her down the hallway, and like she's like,
She clearly does not want to do this. It's like if you were to sit down with Joe Rogan, like I was mentioning, when Trump and Rogan talk fighting, you can tell these are two guys actually having a conversation. She has nothing to talk about. Unless her passion's in like, I really like keeping people in prison to use for slave labor to fight wildfires in California.
Venn diagrams. Her passion is Venn diagrams too.
that
She loves
true?
talking about that. Yeah, she goes, I love Venn diagrams. There's like 5 clips of her out there gushing about Venn diagrams. And yellow school buses. That's another one.
Yo, that clip where she says "shout your own name" is
It's hysterical.
Did you see that, Ryan?
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I want you to shout your own name," and everyone's like, "What?"
Incredible Michael Scott energy right there.
Yeah, hey, comedy's hard. I'm not going to judge her too hard on that. Trump's good at the rally. He's definitely got her destroyed in the rally department.
It's not
Well, I guess the sad thing is she wasn't trying to be funny. That's what's really sad about it.
Yeah.
Trump is funny. Have you been to a Trump rally before?
No.
It's stand up. And I've
seen them though.
I've been saying this since 2015. He's weaving. I've been there was one rally where he's standing there and he's like, the lights, they're making me orange. It's the lights. It's not my fault. And everyone's laughing. I got invited to the White House. It was a social media summit. And I'm like, this is going to be very important. We're going to talk to the president about social media issues. And he did stand up for an hour.
He knows it too. He knows that he's like an anomaly that he's never had an entertainer.
It was
He loves it, eh? Once he's president, he's going to hate the fact that he can't do his rallies anymore.
But dude, it's
Loves the
legit
rallies.
stand up. He's standing up there and he's like, there's this guy, and he'll like name a guy and be like, smells bad, that guy. But anyway, I don't want to. You don't say that. You can't. Everyone's laughing.
Sure.
It's slightly not stand up, but you can recognize it. He's just doing comedy. That's why at a recent rally he said to all the people in the stands, this is coming to a close. It's going to be the end. And I just want to say, I love all of you. And what I got from that is he's saying it's coming to an end. He loves the campaign.
Oh, it's his favorite thing, probably.
I don't think he cares about, emotionally, I don't think he's excited to be a president. He's excited to be before all the people cheering for him. He loves it.
I think that's probably true. I mean, he's an entertainer. This is a point that Dave Smith makes. I'll quote him here. But he's talking about just how brilliant Trump has been at building brands and how he's become a billionaire in many ways just off of his public persona and his image. And the point Dave Smith makes is, Donald Trump is the most famous real estate developer you know. Who's the second most famous real estate developer you know?
Grant Cardone.
Oh my gosh, you had one right there. Dave Smith, you're wrong, and I shouldn't have quoted you. No, but for most people, there's not a second person. Trump just created this entire public persona for himself and rose.
Yeah, you didn't really know the names of developers.
Exactly. That was not something. It wasn't like singers or
King of England.
And that's pre-influencers.
Exactly.
Now they're all have to be
influencer culture. Yeah. And so he's very good at entertaining. He's very good at getting a crowd's attention. And I mentioned this before. It's kind of the difference between someone who has to learn how to become entertaining in the private sphere versus a politician who is focus grouped and who a bunch of donors decided would be good and who has speech writers.
It's a lot easier to make a funny guy good at editing than it is to make an editor good at being funny.
Exactly.
I want to jump to this video. So speaking of comedy routines,
what's the steel man for her, according to you, Tim? Sorry to interrupt.
Steel man for what?
What's the steel man for if she wins? Is it that people went in, there's a lot of bubbling hate against Trump underneath? If she wins, what does that look like? Or is it you just think it's not even on the table?
Campaign. If Kamala wins, back in 2020, there were a few factors that I considered. I did not predict the procedural efforts Democrats were taking, so I got that wrong. I was correct when I said Trump's support was increasing, and I don't see how he could lose. I was wrong about that. This is the first time, I believe it's the first time in U.S. history where a sitting president got more votes and still lost. Usually when presidents lose their second term, it's because they got less votes.
Yeah, they didn't. Okay.
Trump improved. He lost he won all the bellwethers, but still lost. So before the election, there were a few factors. One, people kept saying the enthusiasm for Trump is through the roof, but the enthusiasm for Biden is non-existent. What they didn't factor in, I told Bannon this twice, the enthusiasm against Trump in the polls was higher than enthusiasm for Trump.
Yes.
What Gallup tracked, going back to 1948, since 1952, they have accurately, inadvertently predicted who will win. They don't predict it. They just say, they poll the American people, what do you think is the most important issue right now? And which party do you think is better on solving that problem? Since 1952, the party that was favored for the issue won. This time around, Gallup did the same poll. The economy and immigration.
They've been right since 1952. What a record.
But they're not predicting anything. All they're doing is they're saying, which party, what is the biggest issue? And they'll say, war, during Vietnam. Which party do you think will do a better job at putting the war? And then they're like, this party. Then, later on, you look back and you're like, oh, yeah, that party ended up winning. Accurate since 1952. This time around, economy and immigration, the number one issues. And the polls say Republicans are better. You've also got other data, which we'll get to in a bit. Right now, the aggregate polling on the direction of the country is at 28%. CNN reported there has never been an election in this country where an aggregate poll showed the direction of the country at 28 or less and the incumbent party won. Never happened. If with all of these factors, Kamala Harris somehow wins, you got me, man. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.